Hi friends, welcome to Through the Wardrobe Knits. This is episode 3 of my knitting podcast. I am Selena. I am the owner and dyer behind Through the Wardrobe Yarn Company, which is an indie dyed yarn company where I dye yarn mostly inspired by fantasy literature / children's literature / things that I enjoy. And that's it really. So this is my knitting podcast. Sip of coffee, pop that down, where I share all the things that I've been making and any future plans I have and any finished objects. And I'm excited to tell you that today I have 3 whole finished objects, which anybody who knows me knows that is an achievement within itself. So I'm going to jump straight into it with finished object number 1, which is hanging here. This is my Aphrodite teddy, which is a design by Mezzo Makes Kate. I've forgotten her surname. I'll pop it down below. This has just been released. It was released on Monday. Released on Valentine's Day, and it's a really fun, gorgeous pattern to knit. It was not the easiest pattern for me. Not the pattern itself was fine. It's not a beginner pattern. It's definitely for someone who's a confident knitter or who has like an understanding of garments. Maybe if you're a sewer, it would probably be pretty good as well. But for me, knitting something so slinky and then posting pictures of it on the internet were not goals of mine, but I did and I enjoyed it, and I have received really wonderful feedback, so thank you for everyone who commented on those posts. So I'm just going to show you some of the amazing details that you couldn't really see on my posts. First of all, the flutters, ruffles, whatever, they're called flutters, they absolutely are so fun. Give them a little shaky-roo to knit. They go all the way around the hip area, which I really like. It has a really fun like dropped back with like a V, and actually the original pattern, the back and the front are almost identical. You can choose to increase it to what I've done. So if I can show you. See here, we're increasing. I did some increases because I've got a large bust, and then you do decreases. And so the original pattern is actually a really low V in the front too, which is very sexy, but did not contain me in any way. So I decided to just knit together. I'm sure you can see that. That's not the best. It was like a three needle bind off knit and create a little keyhole. And I have plans to actually add a little bow here and potentially a little bow on the back. I haven't fully decided, but I figured if I'm going to be knitting lingerie, we are not going by halves. So I knit this in my own yarn. This is a colourway called the Prophecy, which I have here. It's called the Prophecy. This is on the sock base. Oh, pop you up here. But I knit this on a merino cashmere silk, and I have to say I would not recommend that base for this, because with the way the pattern works, you decide how much ease you put in, and I had to put in a lot of negative ease because the stretch in this yarn is high, and obviously I wanted it to hold its shape and I wanted it to fit nicely on my body. So in hindsight, I would go back and I would probably knit it in a either sock base with a bit of nylon or maybe a merino silk, so it's holds the shape a bit better. I think it's the cashmere that just makes it insanely drapey. I mean, it's really nice to wear, but not super practical if you want to wear more than once. So yes, that pattern is out. I highly recommend you get it. If you're saying, well, I'm not confident enough to wear something like that, it's for the bedroom, so no one has to see it. But also for me, I'll hold it back up again, I really found that thinking about the shape of my body and the way things fit to my body was quite liberating. It was something that I don't usually do. And I loved knitting this. It was quick to knit. I enjoyed trying it on and thinking, oh, I really liked it. So I would say, even if you're saying, oh, I'm not confident, just try it, cast it on. She also does have another pattern called the 9 to 5 bodysuit, which is kind of similar, except it's more coverage up here, and that isn't in a DK, and it is definitely on my list. So that is number 1. A quick sip of water because I've got a dry throat. Okay. And then I'm going to show you finished object number 2. I feel like this is almost 2 finished objects because I have my birthday socks. Yes, that is right. I have a pair of socks. If you saw my first podcast, you will know that I knit like almost the entire sock last year. I started it, I looked it up, I started it May 23rd, 2021. I had to think about what year we're in for a second there. And it's self-striping yarn, so it was really quick to knit, but for some reason I just sort of slowed down here and then never put a toe on it. I don't know why, but I had set myself a goal that I would finish a pair by my birthday, which is in May. I had to think for a second. And so as soon as I finished the toe, I cast on the next sock. And then I was at a yarn show, a local yarn show this weekend, and I took it with me because I was vending and it's self-striping, so I don't have to really think about it. And I managed to knit basically the entire sock. In fact, I forgot my toe yarn. I'm not sure if you can see this. Actually, I couldn't find my glitter yarn when I was knitting the toe for the first one, so I used this really light pink. You can see it somehow was a bit off and I'm not sure why. Hold it this side. I found this nice light pink, which is one of my Easter colours from last year, and I think it works really well. So I cast it on and now I have 2. If you look close, you can see they're slightly out of sync, but I quite like that. And they are super nice. I have worn them already, but I put them on blockers because they look cute. And actually, I will say, I know many people say, oh, you don't need sock blockers and you don't need to block socks. But for me, because I'm quite particular about socks, I don't really like hand knitted socks which fit my foot exactly, because I find that within 2 wears they're starting to sort of sag off, and I hate that. So I always knit my hand knit socks ever so slightly shorter than my foot, and then I block them, and I find that that makes them fit really nicely. And then as they start to kind of stretch as they start to stretch, as I start to stretch, they don't suddenly start like hanging off my feet, because I hate that, which I've said already. So yes, there we go, birthday socks. And I weighed this yarn and I had like 60 grams left, so these basically made nothing. This is the yarn. It is by the Yarn Badger. Last time I said the Woolly Badger and that was incorrect. She is a pattern designer. The Yarn Badger is a dyer from Sheffield in the UK, and she has tons and tons and tons of self-striping yarns that are so gorgeous. There's one that I have my eye on which is a blue base with rainbows, so I may be purchasing that next time I am in the UK. She doesn't seem to ship to Norway currently, but she did when I bought these. Probably Brexit. So yes, finished object number 2, we love to see it. Now, finished object number 3. I'm so happy with this. I have been knitting on this since November, which you'll realise quickly why that is funny. So this is my, oh, can you see it all? This is my Brioche Adventure shawl by patterns by Made by Tollo, who is a Swedish designer. And the colours that I used, I'm just going to hold it here because these are my favourite, are by my dear friend Georgie at the Fiber Fox, her advent calendar from last year. Now, Georgie and I are like twin souls when it comes to colour palettes. Anything she makes I like, but specifically her pastels, she and I have like the same kind of aesthetic in that sense. So when I knew that she was doing a pastel yarn advent, first of all, I knew I had to get it, like I'm basically her target audience, but I also knew I would love it, and she knew I would love it. Like, she told me before I even opened it that I was gonna love it, and she was correct. Now, I didn't use all the colours because it's so long that if I had added the extra, I think I used 18 out of 24, if I'd added the extra I would not wear it because it would be too long and it would be too bulky. In fact, I had originally planned to block it so it was quite open, so you could really see, I'll just scooch closer, so you could really see the colour play. Because what I love about this is that, I'm trying to hold it up better, is that better? Yeah. What I love about this is that you can see the other colour, they like, it's the other colour on the other side, and because Georgie's yarns were this gorgeous pastel fade, it created a really lovely low contrast section. This is a high contrast one, but most of them are pretty low contrast. So I had planned to kind of block it out so it was more of a shawl, but when I finally finished it the other day, I put it on and I basically have not taken it off since, and it is definitely just going to stay like a squishy scarf. I forgot what it was called for a second. So yes, and each one used probably about 15 grams, so I have about 5 grams of each colour left, which I shall absolutely be using in something, maybe like a cowl or some scrappy socks, I don't know, but I love it. I love everything that Georgie does. As I said in my last podcast, I'm pretty sure at this point this is just like how to promote the Fiber Fox podcast because I love her stuff so much. So that was my third and final, but I'm pretty happy, finished object. I do have a couple of slipped, like dropped stitches, which I have on safety pins that I do need to go. I managed to find one, so it's currently just hanging out on a safety pin. Well, I figured out how to reattach it because it's in brioche, so I obviously don't want to have it unravel and then suddenly just get a big hole in the middle. So that is this. We love to see it and I love to wear it. In fact, I would put it on, but I'm probably going to end up getting sweaty if I do so. So I'm just gonna, it also came, I don't have it to hand, I don't think, in the most beautiful box the Advent did, which was the first year I've had one like that. And I'm tempted to keep this in the box, but right now I haven't actually taken it off long enough to put it in. So this is totally unblocked, no nothing, so I may give it a quick wash, I guess, but love it. Okay, let's move on because we've been chatting for a while already to, where are we going to put these? Let's see, pop these up here. No, that's not good, is it? Let's just pop these over here. There we go. So let's move on to whips. I actually don't have a ton of active whips right now. If you watch my whip video, you saw that I frogged a bunch of stuff, and I have a bunch of plans which I'll talk about, but so far I'm only kind of actively working on 3 projects, potentially 4 soon. I'll start with my first one, which is in this gorgeous bag again, the Fiber Fox. But this yarn is not the Fiber Fox, instead it's 2 other wonderful friends of mine. I absolutely love that in the knitting community you make so many great friends. So this is another Oslo lure for my daughter. If you remember, the last one I did was too big, so this one is on the correct needles. I haven't gauge swatched, but it is looking more correct. So this yarn is 2 yarns held together, and it is this one, which is by Chromatic Yarns. Hannah, who is from the Corner of Craft and absolutely enabled this podcast. She pushed me into it and I'm very happy she did. This is her colour called, one second, I've got two skeins of it and I can't remember its name off the top of my head. Gift for Lols. So this is it in its skein form. It is merino, nylon and lurex. And I have to say, I love Hannah's yarn, but I don't often buy it because it's very bold and I tend to sort of lean very pastel. But when I saw this one, I just purchased it immediately. I couldn't, it's so beautiful. I knew it would be something for my kids because I just think if you're a kind of pastel person but you like bold yarns, you just know you don't really wear them on yourself, having kids is a godsend. It's like, well, I know I can knit something with it. So that one, let's put it back in, otherwise, I mean, there's no organisation. So that's this one. And then I was organising my stash, which is currently living here. Pop you over here. I was organising my stash the other day, and my daughter picked up the Chromatic yarn and she picked up this and she was like, Mum, can you make me a hat in this? And I was already planning to start knitting her a new hat, so I said yes. So this, now I actually don't know the content of the fibre, I'm pretty sure it's just pure mohair, is by Gitta at Gord's Fargeria. Oh, I don't know if you had to see it. And she is another friend of mine. She dyes yarn from the town where my mother-in-law is from, where we spend a lot of time, and I've been dying to meet up with her, but we haven't had a chance. And then she came to a Christmas market in December and she had her yarn, and I just could not walk past this colour and this colour. So both of them are in mohair. They are all plant dyed. So this one is Bringebærslang. I don't know what that means. I think it's like raspberry. And this one is Skogens moss. This is forest moss. I mean, I don't actually know if that's what they're dyed with, but they're gorgeous. I had planned some kind of like stripy sweater, but then the daughter asked and she got what she wanted. So I'm dyeing them together. I'm going to come real close because I want to show you like how perfect these are for each other. Like, I feel like the colours were absolutely made for each other. I like to call it like my nebula hat. It kind of reminds me of like those nebula pictures you see and stuff. So this is just an absolute dream to knit. I was a bit nervous because obviously this is like, it's not like mohair silk, which is incredibly soft when it's, because it's very thin. You see, like it's lace weight, right? And it doesn't have the same kind of halo that you get with like mohair silk, which I don't have to hand. So I was a bit worried it'd be like a bit too rough on my hands, but actually super soft. I'm knitting it on 40cm liquegan needles, which are my favourite circulars right now, and it's just a dream to knit. It really is. It's really good TV knit. I just, you know, in the evenings watching probably a murder documentary on Netflix, because it's all I watch these days. It's just great, and I can just knit and knit and knit, and then before you know it, I'll have a hat. I'm not going to do the full length brim. I think it's just so big and I just think it's going to look a bit ridiculous on a 5-year-old, 4-year-old. So I'll do a shorter brim, but I'm happy with that and I think it's super cute. It was meant to be a spring hat and I'm a bit concerned that the mohair is going to make it too warm, but I have enough yarn to make her a second hat if needed, so that's fine. Let's move on to whip number 2. Now this one you saw last time and I had hoped it'd be finished, but actually Sleeve Island has got me yet again. So let me just pull it out kind of gently. So this is my stria cardigan. Pull. Oh, it's in a bit of a tangle. Yeah. Second. Oh, I see the yarn has decided to go through the armhole. Anyway, here's my stria cardigan, and I have got, the body is finished. Yes, the body looks very short. I'm going to try it on in a second to show you how it fits because I'm really happy with it. And I am currently doing the arms. I have made a few adjustments to the decreases, because you're meant to knit like a fair amount before you start decreases, but I think that would make the arms too long actually for me. I just really like it. I'm just really struggling on the DP ends and I don't know why. I'm not sure if I'm going to try and put them onto a small circular now that it's quite small circumference, but I will show you how it looks. I deliberately wore a dress today because that's what I intend to wear this cardigan with. So let's see if I can put this on without pulling all the yarn off. I think I should be able to. The yarn ball is rolling away down the floor, so just pop it on. So obviously this arm is not finished. Okay, just going to double check we're not losing any needles there. We're good. So this sweater has a band that you add on around the neck and around the body, so it looks like it's got loads, but I mean I could easily, so this is how it's going to fit on a dress, and I just really like that. And that's why I crop a lot of my sweaters, because I just feel like if I had this longer, it's pretty hard to see because I'm sure if I had it longer it would hit me kind of here, and then it would sit kind of funny on the dress, whereas this sits right in the small part of my waist, and I think it just fits perfectly. And I think you can see these colours really go nicely. This is a dress I've been imagining wearing with, but I have a few different ones. I'm losing a stitch here. Hopefully not, but I can pick it up. So yes, I do hope by the next podcast that I will have finished this, but who knows, it depends on Sleeve Island. I would like to have this finished by the time that spring actually arrives. Right now we're still very much in winter here. Did I lose a stitch? Oh, I did. Wait 1 second. Let's quickly pick that up so we don't lose it forever. Did I pick one? Lose one or two? One, but I'll fix it later. I find Fisherman's Rib a little difficult to fix, but I think it should be okay. Just pop them back inside the sweater, back in my bag. So I still have this much left of my second ball of yarn, and a whole skein actually of the Rouge yarn, which is the contrast colour. I don't think I'm going to need this at all because I've still got like so much. I still have this much of the first skein, so I definitely think I'm going to be able to make a project out of that. What project I'm not sure, but a project all the same. I should probably tell you what this one is, by the way. This cardigan is one of my faves. Just get it on. This is my Whitmore cardigan. See if you saw my previous whip that I haven't done anything else to. This is the Whitmore sweater cropped edition, and this is the original cardigan edition, which I test knit for Amy Loudon, and I love this one. I wear it all the time. I thought it was going to be like my fancy cardigan, but actually it's kind of a daily one. I really like it. It's knit in my colourway Care Paravel, which is here, which looks, well, you can kind of see it. It's got these really nice kind of bluey pinky tones. It's kind of opalescent, iridescent looking, and so it looks very kind of neutral grey off white from far away, but in certain lights and when you get up close you can see all the different tones. So I used Polworth, which I don't currently stock, but I might be stocking some more soon, and Surrey, and I really love it. And the buttons, come real close so you can see these are from Fable Knitwear. Oh, it's a bit shiny. and I love her buttons. She really has a stunning collection of kind of like vintage style buttons. I have more, but not to hand, I don't think. So I mean, if I see her at a yarn show, I can't really help myself but to just have a few buttons. So yes. Next, what have we got next? Oh yes, I'm actually working on another test knit. So this was a test knit a while ago. This pattern is out, been out for a good long while. But I signed up, a sip of coffee. I signed up for this test knit very much last minute. I had to bow out of the skirt test knit I was going to do because I just knew with the amount of work I have right now, a fingering weight skirt was just not going to happen in that time, and so I wasn't going to sign up for any test knits. But then I saw that Amy Share, who she designed, I wonder if I have it, she designed the sweater that is on the cover of the new pom-pom that's coming out. Do I have it? I do. Wait a second. Amy Share designed this sweater called Effervescent, which they posted like a preview of in October last year, and I immediately screenshot and was like, I need to make this. So me. In fact, me and Georgie of the Fibre Fox are planning a little knit along for this sweater soon. But she had put out a testicle for larger sizes for her new cardigan, which is like the sister pattern to that. And I saw it and I was like, no, I don't know, more test knits, no more test knits. But I really, if I can test a bigger pattern that other people haven't already started testing, I will, because I really believe that test knitting can be so helpful, especially on larger sizes, because just because you've got a larger bust, it doesn't mean you have a massive neck or a really big torso, etc, etc. So I do like to do it, and then I thought, okay. And then actually my size had filled up, so I was going to do the next size because I was in between two, and she was like, oh, if you'd like, you can test size 5. I was between the 5 and the 6 because she already had someone who was like franken knitting the 2 sizes. So it's a bit all over the place because obviously it's knit back and forth. So this is what I've got so far. This is called the Go Gently cardigan by Amy Share. Oh, and I am knitting it in my colourway, which has had a little revival recently. It's gotten quite popular, called Morganite, which is this lovely kind of peachy pinky colour. And I've paired it with a new mohair colour that I'm working on, which is very similar to Morganite, but it is less orange. It's more sort of rosy. It's going to be called Rose Blush. Still in testing. I'm not 100% sure this is going to be the final colour. But I've paired them together and it is really lovely and soft. So nice to knit, considering it's back and forth, and I'm already at like, I mean, probably 300 stitches. I've knit a lot. This has become my knit that I read. Yesterday and the day before I read the newest Sarah J Maas book, House of Sky and Breath, I think so. Amazing. I want everyone else to kind of hurry up and finish reading it so I can talk about it, but I was knitting this while I read, and it was great because it's mostly just back and forth. It has increases across the yoke, and it has this little pearl, little pearl ridge here, where the ruffle will be. So it's going to have a ruffle like the Effervescent, but it's more of a cozy Surrey cardigan. So I'm knitting in Surrey and Merino. I think it's going to be really nice. I wasn't sure if the colour was going to be a bit too close to skin colour, but I think that should be fine. It's looking pretty nice so far. It's, again, like this stria cardigan, it's going to have like a cuff and a hem, is that a word? Button band. Yeah, so I just really like it. And I can't wait for the pattern to come out. This one I'm not going to do cropped. This is a long length cardigan, and as it's a test, I'm not going to change the design in terms of length. I probably will knit it shorter than the pattern suggests, but that's because I am very short and I don't want a cardigan that is down by my knees. I mean, it's designed much better than that, but it would, I think, be a tad too long if I knit it to exact lengths. That's fine. I'll just show you the Morganite yarn by itself, since I have it here. You can see it's very sort of peachy, pinky. In fact, Aro of Aro Knits and Pearls just had a 7.5k congratulations giveaway, and I contributed the yarn to it, and that's the yarn that we chose for the giveaway. It's a really good colour actually for like spring, I think. There's lovely tones, and so I shall be dyeing more of that up. And that is it for WIPs. I do have one other project that I have not started, but I hopefully will be starting soon, that I kind of briefly talked about. So this yarn is the yarn that I frogged from my Frog or Finish video, and Skeins of Dreams, Megha and I are going to be knitting the Nele, I still don't know how to pronounce it, jumper by Gregoria Fibers, and I am going to be using this sport yarn with a suri. I just haven't fully decided on the suri colour. I did have this one, which is just a very light pink, which I might use, but I have not decided. So I'm going to start that soon-ish, but I'm going to try and finish my stria cardigan first, because it is getting a bit ridiculous. Now, of course, now we come to my favourite bit, which is my new acquisitions. And because I went to a yarn festival on the weekend, I've got quite a few. But that's a good thing, I'm happy with that. But first I'm going to show you the ones that I mentioned last time, which was my yarn clubs. I have a couple of yarn clubs that I'm signed up to this year. That is a lie. I have 4 yarn clubs that I'm signed up to this year. I don't even feel bad about it. So the first one is Skein and the Stitch Jess. This is, but we're swapping yarn, so I'm sending her mine and she sent me hers. Hers are all based on Titans, I think, or at least like old gods. So this is Oceanus, and it's just such a lovely blue, like so beautiful. This is her classic sock, which is a 75-25. I'm not 100% sure it's going to be socks, because I've seen her inspiration for her next one and I have a feeling they're going to go quite well together, so I might try and use them in something together. That's Skein and the Stitch. Then I have one that is paid for by me, by Yarn Addict Co., whose yarn I'm using for my stria cardigan, and this is called Winter Daisies. I mean, look at this, it's just amazing. Her inspiration is like macro pictures, and I used to be relatively into photography back in the day, and I love taking macro photos, so the fact that she's taking inspiration from that just totally sold me. Yeah, I love this one. Again, I haven't really got a plan for it, but I always pick sock yarn if I'm doing a club that I don't have a specific plan for, because I know I can always make socks. Do I make them very often? No. Do I always have about 12 pairs on needles? Yes. Okay. Look, I wasn't joking when I said this was a Fibre Fox fan podcast, because this is the yarn club from Georgie at the Fibre Fox, and I am dead deceased dying over it. I mean, her colour palettes are just something else. So this is called, For the First Time in Forever. See, we're dye twins. We have the same mind. So she's also doing a fairy tale sort of theme, but hers are based on, I think, entirely on Disney fairy tales. I might be incorrect with that, but she has these really beautiful inspiration pictures that she uses each month, and I don't have, maybe I'll try and put hers here. I will, so you can see it, but I just really love it. And obviously for the first time in forever, it's from Frozen. I was trying to think of the name because I was going to call it Frost, which is Norwegian. And I could absolutely start singing this, but I won't. But I love this, and I think this is going to be a pair of socks pretty soon because I do really love, I love this one. So they were my yarn clubs that arrived. They were my January yarn clubs, and I'm waiting for, I'm not like desperately waiting, but the February ones are coming. I also have one more January one that's coming from Paisley Knits, which I've already seen, and I'm already so excited. Again, I have no plans for it. It's gonna look real pretty in my stash. I mean, this is my entire stash of hand-dyed yarn. I'll just scoot you over so you can see, like, it's not huge. It's pretty small, so you know, I don't feel too bad, and I destash relatively often, so I think that's fine. I'm also not gonna edit that out, just as a side note. Anyway, so I went to a very small local yarn festival market on Saturday, and I was vending there with 3 of my friends. Of course, I could not help myself but buy yarn from them. So the first one, 2 skeins. These are actually not for me, these are a gift. I won't tell you to who because they probably will watch. This is Snoepegarn, which is like candy yarn. I'm not sure if that's a really good translation. I'm holding it by the yarn bands, and Cinema will think this is funny because I am really sensitive to natural yarn, and this is really scratchy for me, and she thinks it's hilarious, and she thinks I'm crazy because I can't touch any of this yarn. It says cardigan, and I not like cardigan. It's 2-ply. It's a sport weight. It's really nice. She is a natural dyer, so this was like a leftover dye plus some indigo. It's just this really cool green, and I really like it, and the person who I'm sending it to loves this kind of yarn, so they will like absolutely enjoy it. For me, it's just I can't knit with it, but I can enjoy the colours. So that is Cinema, and I will obviously put links to her website down below. Next is, these are all local to Bergen dyers. So this is liquegan, it's Trina Lisa, and funny story about this yarn. Her store was across from mine, and I went over there with my friend Maren, who is a dyer behind a different yarn company, and she picked this up, and I was like, I need that. I need that yarn in your hand. And she was like, oh, I think I'm gonna buy it. And I was like, okay. So I asked Trina, do you have any more? And she said no, because it's a one of a kind. And then she said, well, I actually have another skein. And I was immediately like, I have to buy it. Maren, please don't buy both. And so we both bought one each. This is glitter yarn, so glitter merino. What I love about it is it's on DK, and I have never knit with like glitter yarn on DK. I'm sure it's the same thing with regular, but I just think it's really lovely. It's like gonna knit up really fast because it's DK. So I mean, I had to come home with this, of course. I love it. I love all of them. Who knows, I'll do this every time. I'll squish them. Whole pillow of yarn. Moving on. The last ones. These are the last ones, I think. So Maren, who I mentioned already, she is the dyer at Spottigarn. I can feel one of them. And she had these little 50-gram skeins, and I planned to just buy one 50-gram skein, and then I was like, well, maybe I'll buy a pair and then I can knit some socks 2 at a time. So I bought this one. They're the same, but she very kindly balled one up for me because I finished my socks and I didn't have anything else to knit on. So she was like, oh, I'll just wind this up, and then I didn't knit it. And so that's this colour, which I really like. And I was like, yes, love it. It's kind of reminds me of like sort of beachy, sandy pebbles or whatever. But then I saw this colour and I couldn't leave it behind. And again, I was like, oh, I'll knit 2 at a time. So they don't have names, so I can't tell you the names of them. But she has just an insanely wide variety of yarn. If you need any colour, you can go to her stall and be like, I need black yarn, and she'll have some amazingly hand-dyed black or very dark yarn, and you can say I want some pastel yarn and she'll have that too. She has a really great variety, and I couldn't let these go. So these are all going into the old sock yarn pile. I don't think I mentioned it last time, but not to crinkle, I have decided to take part in the M3 sock stash-along, I think it's called, where you wrap up skeins of sock yarn and then you like open one and just start knitting it, as like a way to encourage you to knit up your stash. And on, I can't remember her name, the person who is organising it, she just wrapped hers up in skein form, but I knew that if I don't have it immediately skeined up, I'm not knitting with it, so I skeined up like 6 different balls of yarn, and they're in this little basket. And so when I finish with the ruffle socks, which I was working on last time, I haven't done much to them, then I will pick a new one from here. So these ones probably won't get knit immediately unless I suddenly find a pattern that I need to use with them. But all in all, I think that's it really. I thought I would pop in some shop news / kind of what's happening, what I'm up to type thing here. So if you are local to me, I am going to be vending at Chromatic again. I will put the link to that down below because I don't think I'm saying it's snowing. I don't think I'm saying that right. So Chromatic again, first weekend of March, can't remember the dates off the top of my head, at Bergenshut. And then I shall be in Stavanger, first weekend of Stavanger, for Southwest Yarn Fest. And then I shall be at another yarn show in Bergen, Market, Bergen, my brain has just gone, on the 21st of May. So if you're local and you want to come squish some yarn, I've got a bunch here. That's where I'll be, and I'd love to see you. I am working on pre-orders right now. I currently have a spring sock set, a mystery sock set up on my website. It's called Soft and Dreamy, and it comes with a mystery sock set and some delicious tea from Bird and Blend and a little stitch marker, and that is on sale until tomorrow? No, the 20th, so that's on Sunday. That'll on sale until Sunday. And I think that is it, really. That's all I've been doing. I spent a long time cataloguing my yarn, which was like more fun than I thought it would be. I am not someone who like counts up how many grams of yarn, like I don't need that stress in my life, but I found this, it's not new, but I found this app called Knit and Note, and I am fully obsessed with it. I'm gonna put a picture here because I was like, just the aesthetic is so me, and it was just so much fun to do. And I know they're expanding, they're not local, but they're from Norway, from Stavanger, which is down south, and it was just so much fun. Like I was able to catalogue all of my indie dyed yarn, and then you can kind of see what you have and you can add it to your projects and see, like say how much you used and stuff. And I love a bit of organisation like that. That's my kind of thing. So I shall probably be continuing with that. I've got a ton of caked up skeins which I haven't started organising yet. And that's it really. So I hope you've had a great time. I've had a wonderful time chatting. I can see that we've chatted for a very long time. I won't apologise because it's been fun, and I shall see you again next time. Bye!